you to reveal to us. Have your way. Glorify yourself through this teaching today. In Yeshua's mighty name we have prayed. Amen and amen. Our brothers and sisters, we thank the Father for the privilege of coming before him today to continue our study on understanding Elohim, course 101 of the Global School of Ministry, and the 2019 masterclass. Today is lesson 15. We've had about 13 sessions, but broken down 2 of them. And so we have today lesson 15. And by tomorrow or so, we finish this program or this course. And then tomorrow we'll have the panel discussion. And those who have volunteered to be among the panel, please contact Director of Studies, Apostle Dr. Catherine Jones, so that you may be on the panel. And if we have many people, we'll have the panel discussion tomorrow, Thursday, and on Friday on free conference call line. And by the grace of the Father, on Friday, we have the course impact assessment. It's not an academic exam. It's just to determine how much of the learning, 15 lessons spanning about 150 pages, how much of it did you receive? And do you need help? So please, don't take it, don't stress yourself out. This is not an exam to check how brilliant you are. We deal with the hearts and the mind. We don't deal with the brain in the sense of being something academic for us to know who is more brilliant. No, it is to know whether we're able to communicate. So please be real. Don't try to copy from another person. Having said that, we say, look, those of you who are doing the live stream edition, you know, your course impact assessment, you can request for it from the Director of Studies, and it will be given to you. You do it and you submit it either online here or you submit it to an email. It's still okay. So in this course 101, Understanding Elohim, today we come to lesson 15, and it is about true worship, which is ascribed to Elohim alone. And if you want to know about true worship, the starting point is to see what Elohim said about true worship in the book of Exodus chapter 20, the first and second commandments he gave, because we need to understand that the Elohim we talk about is the same Elohim that has been before time, the one that revealed himself to Adam, created Adam and Eve, the one that revealed himself to Noah, to Abraham, to all the faithful worthies of old, the same that revealed himself to Moses. So there's something he said about the first and second commandments that are significant. Exodus 20, Elohim spoke all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy Elohim, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Take note of that. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy Elohim, am a jealous Elohim, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Now, what is he saying there? He is saying that he alone deserves worship. What is worship? You know, over the past several weeks, 3 weeks now, this is the 3rd week we're studying this course, the Lord began to show me the mystery of worship. That at the heart of worship is the submission of the will to he who is greater. You can sing and you didn't worship. You can sing nice songs in church or alone and you didn't worship. You can make noise, you didn't worship. You know, I came from a background of show business, and, got to some level in show business. And I know that most of what I see in Christian worship is not worship. Because, listen, worship is not often in the words spoken. It's in the attitude of the will, the inclination of the will. Worship, in fact, the power of worship is often in the beats, the rhythm, the various instrumentations, because they have an effect on the soul. So when you see most Christian worship today, and they are basically the same rock and roll, the same reggae, the same all those things, all the various genres of music, only that then Jesus, there's God Almighty, and all those things works, but all the beats are losing the soul for satanic entry. You see, when I came from show business, everybody who knew me thought, well, now we've got a great Christian promoter. I'll be promoting this thing. But because of the depth of what the Father has showed me about what he had delivered me from till today, I've not ever had even inclination to do one worship event, so to say, because there's a corruption of music. Have you ever wondered why people have never gone to look at the book of Psalms and see how David composes worship, and even the kind of beats that you see in the Levitical, in all those systems of the Levites and the worship? But anyway, this is by the way. In other words, worship is the inclination of the will. Who is the will inclined to? How surrendered is the will to the one to whom worship is being given? Men and brethren, we need to know that the Elohim alone deserves worship. The Elohim we have studied, this comprehensive study, and I'm using that word very, very much, subjectively, in the sense that this is the little revelation he has given to us as we have studied together 15 lessons today. He alone deserves worship. That's why Psalm 57, Psalm 5 verse 7 says, but as for me, I will come into thy house in the multitude of thy mercy, and in thy fear will I worship toward thy holy temple. Psalm 22 verse 27, all the ends of the world shall remember and turn unto the Lord, and all the kindreds of the nations shall worship before thee. Psalm 22 verse 29, and they that be fat upon the earth shall eat and worship. And all they that go down to the dust shall bow before him, and none can keep alive his own soul. Psalm 29 verse 2, give unto the Lord the glory due to his name. Worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. Psalm 45 verse 11 says, so shall the king greatly desire thy beauty, for he is the Lord, and worship thou him. Psalm 66 verse 4, all the earth shall worship thee, and shall sing unto thee. They shall sing to thy name, Selah. Psalm 86 verse 9, all nations whom thou hast made shall come and worship before thee, O Lord, and shall glorify thy name. Psalm 95 verse 6, O come, let us worship and bow down. Let us kneel before the Lord our Maker. Psalm 96 verse 9, O worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. Fear before him all the earth. Go on and on and on. And then in Psalm 138 verse 2, David said, I will worship toward thy holy temple and praise thy name for thy loving kindness and for thy truth. For thou hast magnified thy word above all thy name. Can you imagine all the names of Elohim? Jehovah Shekebinu, Jehovah Rapha, Jehovah Rofeka, El Shaddai, the great I am who I am, all his holy name. He says he magnified his word above his name. Why? His word is an expression of his will. And our attitude to his word is an indication of our worship. What does it profit the Father as you see it done today? Young people who say they are worshiping, they go and beat drum, all that. You go to some places, and the moment they finish, when it's time for the preacher to preach, the same people worshiping have gone out. What are they doing outside? Smoking. Not just cigarette, joint, marijuana. Take a sniff. The same people that were beating will say, hey, the glory came down. What glory came down? They just loosened the emotion of people. They just made the people feel good. Worship, true worship, fills you with the revelation of his magnificent glory. True worship fills you with awe. True worship comes a rapture. Your spirit man is raptured above your soul. Today there's so much soulish worship. Fleshly worship. Worship that loses the flesh. The one that will be just go and beat for a fee is not in worship. It's a missionary. And today, many people are encouraging missionaries in Christian worship. Many pastors are encouraging missionaries, and people who are not going to worship the Lord, they're going to play the guitar, they're going to play the drum because of a fee on a Sunday. And they say, oh, are members of our choir, members of our praise team. No, they are not in the praise team. They are mercenaries. They're on hire to the greatest, or the man who will pay them the greatest, because if they get another contract that offers double what is offered to them in church, they'll go to that contract. Brothers and sisters, the more we know him, the more we're inclined to lay our will down. The more we know him, the more we're inclined to allow his knowledge of him to fill our consciousness. The more we know him, the more we're inclined to throw down our will before him. And when we do that, then our entire being, that's why I want to ask you, are you too sophisticated? Have you come to the place where you are too great, too mighty, too qualified, that you have never prostrated before the King of Kings, lie flat before him, before, in your own house? Then something is wrong. Have you come to the place where you are praying and worshiping, you put your hands in your pocket? Will you do that before a governor? Will you put your hand before a king, before a mayor councillor? Before a senator, you put your hand in your pocket? Do you do that? Before the headmaster or principal of the school? Men and brethren, worship requires an inclination of our hearts. And if it is so, then there has to be some effect on us. There has to be a consciousness field of us. Brothers and sisters, even Yeshua was worshipped. That also shows his divinity. In Hebrews chapter 1 verse 6, and again, when he bringeth in the first begotten into the world, he said, let all the angels of Elohim worship him. The same angels that are at the throne of grace, bowing before him, Elohim seated on the throne, said, all angels, behold, he who has been incarnated in the earth realm, worship him. And brothers and sisters, in Matthew chapter 8 verse 2, behold, there came a leper and worshipped him, saying, Lord, if thou wilt, thou canst make me clean. He was a leper, and he saw him as Elohim. The Pharisees didn't see him. Scholarship may block our view of him, especially when we get too puffed up in our intellect. We may not be able to see he who keeps us alive, he who gave us all things richly. We might begin to ascribe it to our strength, our ability, what we can do. Brothers and sisters, the Father says worship is ascribed to him. Yeshua was worshipped when he was on earth. We are told in Matthew chapter 14, verse 33, then they that were in the ship came and worshipped him, saying, of a truth thou art the Son of Elohim. After that encounter with him, they bowed before him. Matthew 15:9, but in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines the doctrine of men, the commandments of men. People who think they worship, but they are teaching commandments of men. Men and brethren, if you look at through the Bible, Matthew 18:26, Matthew 20:20, we are told that came the mother of Zebedee's children with her sons, worshiping him and desiring a certain thing of him. Desiring a certain thing of him, they worshipped him first because she recognized his divinity. She recognized that he will come again in glory. He will sit on the throne of majesty. He said, hey, can John and James sit at your right and your left? Men and brethren, even after he rose from the dead, Yeshua, Matthew 28, verse 9, and as they went to tell his disciples, behold, Yeshua met them, saying, all hail. And they came and held him by the feet and worshipped him. Matthew 28:17, and when they saw him, they worshipped him, but some doubted. John 4:20, Yeshua began to teach the woman at the well of, the well of Samaria about true worship, and told her that Elohim is spirit, and they that worship him was worshiping in spirit and truth. Because say now the hour has come. It's no longer a matter of going to Jerusalem, as the Jews say, or as the Samaritans say, going to Samaria. It's no longer about where. At times people think if I don't go into a church building, that's what churchianity has done to brethren. Churchianity gives us impression that worship of Elohim is on certain holy days, like Sunday, like midweek service, like Christmas Day, like Easter, worship. And not only that, not only holy days, inside a building. And so people have learned that inside a building, they switch on worship mode. They are sanctimonious. They do certain things. And then when it's time, they beat slow beat music. Slow beat, they say that's worship. Then what do you do on Monday? What do you do on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday? You live your own life. Then on Sunday, you switch on. That tendency to switch on and off is churchianity, is religion writ large. And brethren, the Father says he wants us to come to know that Elohim is spirit, and they that worship must worship him in spirit and in truth. Our spirit man is our heart. Our heart must be inclined in worship to him. That means also that our will, which is the center of our being, because it is in the will you make decision what to do or not do. The will must be laid to him to do, to determine how to go, where to go. And the moment the will is not inclined that way to him, automatically there's falsehood of worship. Men and brethren, it is so important. It is so important. Worship. In the book of Revelation 14:7, you know, the angel said with a loud voice, fear Elohim and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth and the sea and the fountains of water. That final angel that preached. And in Revelation 19 verse 4, we are told that the 24 elders and the 4 beasts fell down and worshiped him. And worship Elohim that sat on the throne, saying, Amen, hallelujah. Revelation 19 verse 10. And I fell at his feet and worshipped him, and he said unto me, see thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yeshua. Worship Elohim, for the testimony of Yeshua is the spirit of prophecy. So we don't worship angels. We don't worship anything other than our Elohim. We don't worship anything, anyone that wants to take the will the Father has given to us out of him, inclination to him alone. We say no. It cannot be. It cannot be your spouse. It cannot be your children. It cannot be your parents. If your will is diverted to them and Elohim is left in the cold, then false worship has taken place. Men and brethren, it is so important to realize that if we don't worship Elohim, we'll end up worshiping the wrong thing. And at the end, at the base of every false worship is the being called Satan, the devil. You know, many people, let's take a little study about the devil. Satan has existed for a long time. As a matter of fact, he is listed in the Bible as the son of the morning. You know what son of morning means? The first thing, the first being that was created, Lucifer. Now, the history of Satan is found in Isaiah chapter 14 and Ezekiel 28. Let's see a little bit of it to see how this being fell when it was Lucifer. In Isaiah 14, verse 12, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning, the very first to be created? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thy heart. Now, this is a revelation of what happened on that day when he fell. Thou hast said, he used to be the chief choir master of heaven. He used to be the one, the principal angel, the archangel. But the day came, thou hast said in thy heart. Take note, I will ascend into heaven. 2, I will exalt my throne above the stars of Elohim. 3, I will sit upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. 4, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. 5, I will be like the Most High. I will be like the Most High. From worshiping Elohim, Lucifer, a day came. He desired to be the one to be worshipped. He said in verse 15, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that this shake the kingdoms, that makes the world as a wilderness, and destroy the cities thereof, and open not the house of his prisoners? All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, everyone in his own houses. But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch, and as the raiment of those that are slain, thrust through with a sword, that go down to the stones of the pit, as a carcass trodden under feet. Telling us that pride caused Satan to exalt himself to the point he wanted the worship that was ascribed to the Most High. I will be like the Most High. And Ezekiel 28 gives us a little bit more of this same principle, because in Ezekiel 28 it was talking about the son of the king of Tyros, and he began to take a parable beyond the king of Tyros, the physical king. He began to speak about the power behind the throne. There's a throne, there's a king sitting on the throne. The power on the throne, when the king sits there, the power rules the king. The throne is greater than the king that sits upon it. So Satan was the actual ruler of Tyros at this time. And so he said in Ezekiel 28 verse 12, Son of man, take up a lamentation upon the king of Tyros, and say unto him, thus says the Lord Elohim, thou sealest up the sum, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. This is the description of Lucifer. Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of Elohim. Every precious stone was thy covering. Look at the beauty. The sardius, topaz, the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, the jasper, the sapphire, the emerald, the carbuncle, the gold, the workmanship of thy tabrets, of thy pipes, was prepared in thee on the day that thou was created. Lucifer, Satan, is a created being. The day he was created, wired into his wings, then wired into his being was the pipes. What is it, like pipe organ? The ability to make music. That's why he's the chief patron of the music industry. Of those who are out of the way, he's the chief patron. Most of those in music tell even Christians that at times somebody from the record industry comes to them and say, you know what, if you join our club, we'll make you popular. Your song will be number one. What do they mean? These are various Luciferian sects across the world. They gave people power, so-called, even some pastors, even some worship leaders, in quotes, some musicians, and all manner of people, even for government, they give. So he says in verse 15, thou wast perfect in thy ways from the day thou was created till iniquity was found in thee. Brothers and sisters, take comfort in this, that Satan is a created being. As he was created, he had a start date. A day is coming when he will expire. That day is coming, brothers and sisters. So don't let him deceive you. He's a created being. Verse 16, by the multitude of thy merchandise, they have filled the midst of thee with violence, and thou hast sinned. Therefore I will cast thee as profane out of the mountain of Elohim, and I will destroy thee, O covering cherub, from the midst of the stones of fire. He used to walk the stones of fire that was in the very presence of Elohim. He used to be the anointed cherub that covered, the image of which was found in the ark of the covenant. That cherub that was upon, it showed what he used to do in eternity at the throne of Elohim. He says, verse 17, thy heart was lifted up because of thy beauty. Thou hast corrupted thy wisdom by reason of thy brightness. I will cast thee to the ground. I will lay thee before kings that they may behold thee. Thou hast defiled thy sanctuaries by the multitude of thy iniquities, by the iniquity of thy traffic. Therefore I will bring forth a fire from the midst of thee. It shall devour thee, and I will bring thee to ashes upon the earth in the sight of all them that behold thee. Men and brethren, Satan has an expiry date. But we need to take note, from the day he fell, he desired worship. He was able to attract, by extrapolation of certain truths in the Bible, about 1/3 of the angels of heaven. He was able to attract them. They became demons and evil spirits. Any being that could attract that number of billions of angels to follow him in his rebellion is very dangerous indeed. And from the day of Adam till today, Satan is in one assignment: to divert worship of man away from Elohim to him or whatever idol he creates. In the days of Adam, Genesis chapter 3 was a worship issue. It was a loss of worship of Elohim, because Elohim had given them in Genesis 2, you should not eat of that fruit. Don't touch it. Don't. But Satan said, as Elohim said. Then the zinger with which he got Eve was when he told Eve, look at what he told the woman. Verse 4, Genesis 3. And the serpent said unto the woman, you shall not surely die. Contradicted the word of Elohim, you shall not surely die. Then he brought in the zinger, for Elohim doth know that in the day you eat thereof, your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. Satan tempted Eve with what she already was. Adam and Eve were the god of this world. They were created and given authority to superintend over this world on behalf of Elohim. Is it not what Satan is still using today to deceive people? When you don't know your identity, he can come and get you cheap. You say, hey, Elohim knows that the day you eat, you won't need him again. So he offered them independence. Till today, Satan is offering human beings independence. Independence from Elohim. That's why people are holding their will. People say they are going to church, their will they still hold. They cannot submit to the authority of the pastor. You know why? Because they are holding their will. Self-worship. When you hold your will, you are in self-worship. People also will allow what they encounter with evil authorities. You are not supposed to bow to evil authority. You're supposed to do like Peter. He said we ought to obey Elohim rather than men. If a human being wants you to do what is contrary to the will of Elohim, then you take your stand. Be a conscientious objector, yet in humility, but in holy boldness. Men and brethren, the will is the issue. So Satan got Eve's will to rebel against the will of Elohim and then worship Satan indirectly. Whenever Satan gets you, you see, when Eve ate that fruit, it meant she repudiated the will of Elohim and submitted her will to the will of Satan. She worshipped Satan, and in so doing, Adam and Eve handed over the lordship of the earth, the godship of the earth that Elohim gave to them, handed it over to Satan. That's how Satan became the god of this world. So much so that in Matthew chapter 4, from verse 8 to 10, he came to tempt Yeshua with that godship. He said, hey, devil take him to an exceeding great high mountain, showed him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them, the bright lights of New York, the bright lights of Chicago, London, all the cities, Tokyo, Frankfurt, showed him all and said unto him, all these things will I give thee, if thou will fall down and worship me. Why do you need to go to the cross, Yeshua? Why do you need to suffer and all that stuff? Let me give it to you now. Is it not what Satan is doing? The Father wants you to be chaste until the day of marriage. And Satan said, no. Oh, Joe, go ahead. Have your feel. And people say they are married and going on honeymoon before the marriage. Going on vacations before marriage. You know what? Satan has gotten those people cheap. So that you sing and say, I love you, Lord. All those things. How can you love him in sin? Intentional sin. Willful sin. Brothers and sisters, let's come to the place of knowing that Elohim deserves worship. He deserves respect. He deserves honor. We should not, with our tongue, profess him, but with our actions, we defame him. So he showed him. He said, all this will I give thee if you fall and worship me. Yeshua said unto him, get thee hence, Satan. For it is written, thou shalt worship thy Lord, thy Elohim, and him only shalt thou serve. And of course, what happened? Satan left him. Satan left him. Satan will leave you anytime you submit yourself to Elohim and resist him. He will leave. Submit your will to Elohim. When you submit your will to Elohim, you are not in a hurry. They that believe shall not make haste. When you submit your will to Elohim, hunger will not kill you. Sickness will not kill you. Attacks of the enemy will not destroy you. Brothers and sisters, your will should be submitted to Elohim alone and worship. So there is warning against false worship from beginning to the end. In Exodus chapter 32, he said, they have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them. They have made them a molten calf and have worshipped it and have sacrificed thereunto and said, these be the gods, O Israel, which have brought you out of the land of Egypt. He said in Exodus 34 verse 14, for thou shalt worship no other God, for the Lord, whose name is jealous, is a jealous Elohim. Warning against any other worship. Worship is for Elohim alone. Your husband is not to be worshipped. Your wife is not to be worshipped. Your parents are not to be worshipped. Your church is not to be worshipped. Your pastor is not to be worshipped. No one created by Elohim is to be worshipped. Yourself is not to be worshipped. You need to come to that place where this is absolute. This is the red line no one can cross. Your worship. Primacy. Priority. The consciousness of your being. Bowing before Elohim in all things. And that is why, men and brethren, till end of the age, Satan will deceive and try to deceive humanity to worship him. Even in the time to come, not just now. The times that are upon us, listen to this. What you see across the world is the unfolding of the end of the age. It's like a plane coming down. Not like Boeing 747 Max that can nosedive. Boom. No. How do planes normally come down? Altitude. The end of the age, brothers and sisters, the plane is hovering close to landing.